Good morning, everybody, here in Europe, and good afternoon to our colleagues in the Republic of Korea for our, meanwhile, ninth webinar on the geopolitics of ICT standardization. And I'm happy that we have, after we had a first webinar in January 24 at the very beginning with some Korean speakers, now a second one, which is exclusively kind of focusing on Korea. Just as a brief intro and background, and also a little bit promotion of StandICT, which is the umbrella project of these webinars. Here, the objectives are really to support the contribution of European experts into international standardization activities, and therefore there's this funding program on the one hand, and we have observatories and working groups which help to empower these experts. We have also a forum to discuss strategic aspect. That's the forest one. And then, and here the webinar is in the context of the objective to inform, to train the next generation of ICT standardization experts. And that's why we are here today. And we have then also some other groups. Regarding the achievements, these are the key achievements of StandICT 26 so far, which will end at the end of the year 25. And here on the left-hand side, we have also the Academy. We have training modules 6, and we have conducted 8 webinars so far. We also have some focus on SMEs. And today it's the 9th webinar in the context of this geopolitics kind of big topic. Then there are different other outputs. What I'd like to also to inform about is we do kind of a survey to collect ideas how to make what StandICT 26, but also the previous generations have done or should do in the future in order to really develop a sustainable kind of initiative, which maybe even lasts beyond the project. That's the one part. The other part, and therefore we have also a focus on Korea, is the project INSTAR, where it's the interest of the European Commission to set up digital partnerships with some specific countries or geographical kind of regions. And the Republic of Korea is one of these 7 countries we are going to kind of work together. And at the end of March, we had a first kind of common workshop about future roadmaps in these 6 topics, technological topics, and in this context, we also had the idea to really then have a specific common webinar with the colleagues, especially of TTA, which are going to introduce themselves in a minute. Furthermore, these are the rules of these events in general. Means the event is going to be recorded. And since we want also to have not only kind of a presentation, but also your questions on board, please use the Q&A box to do that. You might also use the chat. And in the chat, we also share links to some outputs and publications of this StandICT project. And that was it very brief from my side. And now I'd like to hand over to Mr. Kim from TTA, which is then followed from Mr. O also from TTA. And then we have an academic, Min Kim from the Yonsei University. And after all these presentations, we hopefully have an interesting discussion, which I will going to moderate. That's it so far, the framework in which we are conducting this webinar. And now I stop my presentation and hand over to Mr. Kim from TTA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brian. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of TTA, I'm truly happy to be part of this meaningful event today. Actually, I'm not going to make a presentation, but a very short remark. We are now living in a time when technology is no longer just limited to the area of industry. It has become a key factor that affects many areas, such as national security, economy, diplomacy, defense, and more. So digital technology has become a main focus of both competition and cooperation between countries, and is now reshaping the global order. So international competition is growing, especially around core technologies like AI, data, semiconductors, and quantum technology, etc. As a result, many countries are turning toward more national and protective approaches. But at the same time, these technologies also have great potential to help solve global challenges like climate change, education inequality, and poverty, and disaster response, and energy, etc. In other words, technology can be a cause of tension, but it can also be a powerful tool for cooperation. So in this context, standards are increasingly recognized as a vital means of translating shared international values into practical frameworks while promoting more equitable access to the benefits of technology. Beyond serving as a foundation for technological leadership, standards play a critical role in guiding how technology is accepted by society and how it aligns with ethical principles. This highlights the need for closer cooperation between kind of like-minded partners. In particular, Europe and Korea, by working together in the field of standards, can play a pivotal role in ensuring that technology development remains aligned with shared values. This is why I believe cooperation between Europe and Korea, especially in the field of standards, is not a choice, but a necessity. As you know, Korea has a high-class ICT infrastructure and strong technology-driven industries, and Europe has led the way in ethical and inclusive approaches to technology. By working together and combining these strengths, Europe and Korea can take an important role, not only in leading global standards now, but also in shaping a long-term digital value system for the future. And also in today's world, where tech-related power struggles are getting stronger, it is very important that the global technology system is not shaped by one country alone. Europe and Korea together can help create a more balanced and inclusive digital system around the world. And working together on standards is not just about writing technical documents. It is about shaping how technology affects our society. Above all, no country can protect values like trust, ethics, inclusion, and sustainability alone in the digital age. That is why international cooperation is more important than ever. Europe and Korea already share these values, and that make us ideal partners in building responsible and people-centered technologies. By working closely together and using our shared strengths, Europe and Korea can face today's challenges in this new tech-driven world and build a digital future that is open, trustworthy, and sustainable. Finally, I'd like to thank the organizers, the StandICT and the StandICT of today's webinar and all the speakers for their valuable contributions. And I hope today's webinar will lead to fruitful and insightful discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. I think you already raised some interesting ideas also later for the discussion, and therefore I already made some notes regarding further questions. But since we have these presentations by the others, I'd like to hand now over to Mr. O to present especially the way TTA is going to organize kind of the future of ICT standardization from your perspective. Mr. O.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kyung-seok Oh from TTA. I'm honored to be here today as part of a StandICT webinar. Today, I work you through TTA ICT standardization strategy. This presentation will highlight our vision and our approach to standardization. In fact, this presentation is quite similar to the one I gave during the TTA INSTAR workshop last month. So if you have already seen that, feel free to relax. Okay. So here is contents for my presentation. Today's presentation will cover three main parts. First, I will give a brief introduction to TTA. And next, I will walk you through our standardization strategy. That is how it developed and what it covers extra. And then I will elaborate on more TTA standardization strategy version 2025. Okay, let's start with introduction to TTA. TTA is Korea's leading ICT standardization development organization. Although we are not a governmental body, we are officially designated by law as the only ICT SDO in Korea. We provide a comprehensive service in ICT standardization, from planning and development to testing and certification of IT products. Our organizational structure includes divisions for standardization, testing lab for ICT, software and AI convergence, as well as academy for education. I personally work in standardization planning department, which is responsible for ICT standardization roadmap. So let's look into history of TTA. TTA was established in 1988 to lead ICT standardization in Korea. In 2001, we launched our ICT testing and certification lab. And later in 2013, we created a dedicated software testing lab. And we also founded TTA Academy to strengthen training efforts. And most recently, we set up an AI convergence testing lab to support rapidly evolving AI landscape. TTA is currently focused on three strategy pillars. First, enhancing global standard capability. This includes establishing standard in emerging fields such as 6G, quantum, and advanced air mobility. And we try to strengthen the link linkage between R&D and standard. And for digitalization of standard, we are working on building a digital platform to improve the productivity and efficiency of standardization process, including developing machine reader and connecting them to open source framework. And we also try to expand international cooperation through partnership and collaboration with both advanced and developing countries. Let me now briefly explain the main standardization projects. First one, under ICT Standardization Planning Strategy, we establish ICT standardization strategy for digital innovation and foundational technologies. We also develop standardization utilization map, as well as issue reports on digital platform, government, space communication, extra. And I also would like to mention we try to promote a linkage with standard in R&D cycle, from planning, execution, evolution to post management. And we also have domestic and international activity. Under this project, we develop ICT standards tailored to domestic market and industry need, and also develop a draft national standard as cooperative organization for standards development or designated by ministry. We also support operation of ICT standard program to enhance market-driven standardization activity. And last one is promotion and dissemination of standard. Under this project, we provide customized consultation to serve difficulties in standardization and discovering success case. And we also focus on fostering international standard expert by supporting expenses. Yes, let's move on to our status and outcome. TTA develop a large number of standards each year. To give you a sense of scale, we have developed around 30,000 standards. And regarding the membership, general company make up the majority, and we also have association and cooperatives and service provider, broadcaster, and extra. This diverse membership ensure that multi-sector and perspectives are represented in standardization process. And TTA has been actively working on creating standard for ICT technologies. Some notable examples include anti-joint system and unmanned information terminal and smart flood management system. TTA has also contributed to the development of Korea national standard. For example, ICT and data center standard and kiosk accessibility standard. This effort aim to improve interoperability, accessibility, and data infrastructure across the nations. Then let's move on to our standardization strategies. So why do we have an ICT standardization roadmap? The answer is because standardization needs to be strategic. Since 2002, TTA has been publishing this roadmap annually with support from our Ministry of Science and ICT. It's designated to guide national innovation and standardization. We have two phases of developing standardization strategy, which are roadmap and strategy map. The first one is a roadmap, which is a mid to long-term project plan, and it outlines direction for ICT standardization R&D and is updated every 4 years. We begin by identifying the standardization needs, what we call it blank standard, through our standard structure model. Then we develop an implementation plan, a so-called strategy map, to provide actionable guidance. So our roadmap has 3 core objectives. First one is strengthen alignment with government policy. We propose an action plan for national standardization policies and also provide standardization insight for global standard cooperation. And it identifies strategy standardization target, which means identify future standardization demands and new work items. And we provide data for R&D standard linkage project planning. And it also supports private sector standardization. We provide guidelines for domestic and international standardization activity and offer standardization trend and data applicable for research, education, seminar, and extra. We follow a 5-step development process. Firstly, we analyze domestic and international ICT status, for example, policy, technology, standard, and expert survey. Then we select the key technologies through our advisory committee. Then we form an expert subcommittee to develop our roadmap. In step 3, we identify standardization subjects and key standardization items and develop detailed strategies. During this step, approximately more than 200 our ICT standardization expert and R&D expert actively participated. And then we collect opinion from experts such as ITU, JTC1, and TTA committee, and extra. Then finally, we release our deliverables via press release and post them our TTA websites. Our key technologies can be identified from national strategy technologies and national digital innovation technologies. So we have 6 digital innovation technologies such as AI, data, 5G, 6G, security, digital contents, and quantum. We also identified 6 digital infrastructure technologies like intelligence network, radio and satellite, IoT, cloud and computing, broadcasting media, and blockchain. I would like to say that our key technologies are aligned with national policy direction. Our roadmap follows a system-based approach inspired by IC methodology. We adapted the model to suit ICT-specific needs by shifting from use case modeling to clarification system modeling. So we have 5 steps to develop roadmap, which are technology status analysis and classification system modeling, standard mapping, and standard gap analysis, and finally roadmap development. And then based on this roadmap, we select the standardization item our country should focus on, then establish domestic and international standardization activity. Here's our current progress for the 6 innovation technologies. We completed our roadmap work in 2023, and we also completed a strategy map last year. And for the other 6, we completed our roadmap last year, and for this year, we will develop a strategy map for all 12 technologies. So let's move on to the details of our strategy version 2025. Each roadmap includes a specific work item prioritized by technical lead and international trend, as well as industrial potentials. While I won't go into detail here, these items are defined with global alignment. So let me now present some key standardization area we are focusing on. Actually, a comprehensive review of over 7,000 existing standards were conducted to identify gaps in our core technologies. So based on this analysis, target technologies for standardization were derived on project-by-project basis. So for intelligence network, we are addressing AI-based network control and ultra-reliable and low-latency communication and future network architecture. In radio and satellite, here we focused on electromagnetic safety and enhancing national satellite capability. And for IoT, our efforts target advanced networking for smart city and autonomous system. And for cloud computing, we are addressing high performance infrastructure and multi-cloud management. In blockchain, we are expanding to include service level application and evaluation framework. And for broadcasting media, we are enhancing a standard for high efficiency encoding, especially in context of AI generated context. So here is priority item of ICT standardization roadmap. Please note that all items are not listed here, but you can take notes here. And for digital innovation technologies, SWOT factors of target technology were analyzed to derive key standardization items. For AI, we address not only usability, but also AI harm, ethics, and general purpose AI. For data, we focused on standardizing data evaluation and data sharing ecosystem. And for 5G and 6G, we are actively contributing to the development of 6G standard aligned with ITR 6G vision requirements. And security, we are responding to national priority like zero trust and digital wallet. And for digital contents, we are targeting metaverse and national priority. And then lastly, for quantum, we emphasize on communication and company in line with our national quantum roadmap. So in summary, our version 2025 strategy map aligns with both our domestic R&D project and international priority. It identifies high-impact standardization items where we can either lead or collaborate actively at global level. So here are key deliverables of our roadmap effort: 6 roadmap plus 6 strategy map. And we also have a standard utilization map, which shows how standard applied across service. Currently, these are only available in Korean, but if you are interested, you can access them by scanning the QR code here. So, in conclusion, TTA is playing strategic role in positioning Korea at forefront of global ICT standardization. Our roadmap and strategy map ensure that we remain responsible to rapid technological changes and shifting geopolitical dynamics. We welcome further collaboration with international partners, and we look forward to shaping our future of standardization roadmap together. Thank you for your attention. Yes, that's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Go, on kind of guiding us through your roadmap kind of process and the details of the different roadmaps. I don't know, are there questions in the audience to Mr. O on that? Maybe just one brief question from my side. You elaborated quite in detail how you do that and how you develop them. And my question is, what happens with these roadmaps? Do you also kind of see the impact, or how do you see or how do you screen the impact of these documents you have produced in the last years?
Thank you for the question. Actually, the purpose of our roadmap, as I explained on slide 12, we have actually 3 core objectives for our government side as well as public sector. So we try to, our roadmap can be used broadly, but I'm not sure from the utilization perspective, but as I said, we try to promote our roadmap and use them as a guidance Thank you.
But do you then align the standardization activities with which are going on then with what you have kind of included in the roadmaps? That means do you tick and say, okay, we have done this, and then go on, or do you also bring in these topics into as a kind of new work item proposals in international standardization committees?
Yeah, sure. Actually, as I explained, as I explained, we have strategy map, which is more detailed strategy to respond international SDO. So based on the strategy map, we try to reflect our technology to the global SDO. And I think with the collaboration with INSTAR, I think we can have more how to say more easy to respond and correspond to global SDO.
Okay. Thank you. There are two questions. There's a hand up by Uwe Rüttentler, and another one is in the Q&A section. Maybe you can answer that. Uwe, you want to speak?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. This is thank you very much. This is Uwe Rüttentler from company Infineon Semiconductors. So, Mr. O, thank you very much for this detailed, comprehensive information. And I can say I'm working, for example, in IC Semiconductors Technical Committee and co-sharing this with a colleague from Korea, which works very well. So therefore, there's already some cooperation ongoing. My question is two questions. One is you showed the TTA developed 30,000 standards. Are these standards then from all kind of areas in ICT? So national, international standards is my question one. This 30,000. And the second, are you looking also what's going on in Europe coming from different regulations? One example is cybersecurity. And there we have a Cyber Resilience Act. So is there also cooperation related to these European regulations planned, for example, with CEN or CENELEC or ETSI? Is it understood?
Thank you for the question. Sorry, but I didn't get your question. So can you repeat again?
Yeah. First question, the 30,000 standards you showed from TTA, are these combination of national standards and international standards which you are developing?
Let me explain. This is given from TTA. As far as I understand, as you mentioned, there are 30,000 TTA standards. It is all TTA standards, non-national standard. And I don't know the exact statistics, but maybe 60 or 70% of the TTA standard is a transport from 3GPP specification. As you know, 3GPP is not an SBO, it is a partner's project. So when 3GPP specification are developed, then the member of 3GPP, the organizational partner, member of 3GPP, transport those 3GPP specification into their SBO standards. And some of TTA standards we refer to international SBO's recommendation standards like ITU and IEEE, even UTSI.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. And your second.
The second question was related to the work which is ongoing in Europe, coming from the European Politics Commission. We have the several regulations. The one important one currently going on is cybersecurity. Is there any relationship from TTA with either the European Commission or the related ESOs, how we say, European standardization organizations like CEN, CENELEC, ETSI?
Hi, this is Minali from TTA. I can perhaps answer to the question.
Yep.
The CRA is a European regulation, but unfortunately, the TTA standards are aligned with national policy. We are aware of the CRA, but unfortunately, the TTA standards are domestic standards. So we have our own national regulations, and we are applying to them, but not EU's policy. Hope my answer is enough to your question. Thank you.
Yes, understood. My point was, should there be some cooperation to align those which you have and which we have in Europe?
Oh, actually,
Might be good.
yes. So like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had this webinar with INSTAR on cybersecurity. We discussed on how to act for the CRA, and then we have found some common understanding and how to collaborate on that kind of a regulation. So we will work on it with relevant experts.
Good. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. And I think we should go on, and maybe Mr. Kim, maybe you can answer the question in the Q&A section, kind of by writing just an answer into this field. Now I'd like to hand over the floor and give the floor to Mi-Chi Kim from the Yonsei University, who will give us an overview of the different kind of strategies of the different world regions regarding ICT standardization, and how maybe Korea could position itself in this quite complex environment. And therefore, Mi-Jin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, my screen. So you see my screen now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Mi-Jin Kim from the Graduate School of International Studies at Yonsei University. So it's a great pleasure for me to take part in this webinar today. So my presentation today is titled Geopolitical Competition in Standard Setting with Implication and Strategic Response of Korea. So in recent years, standardization has moved far beyond from the realm of technical interoperability, and standards are now deeply intertwined with critical technologies, supply chains, and economic security. And they are increasingly being used as strategic tools by governments in geopolitical competition. So in this talk, I will begin by outlining the growing strategic significance of standards in today's geopolitical environment. And then I will compare how the United States, the European Union, and China are integrating standardization into their broader geopolitical strategies. And based on that, I will reflect on Korea's current position with its opportunities and challenges. And finally, I will present a policy direction that Korea might consider in order to strengthen its role in global standardization and respond more strategically to the changing landscape. So let me begin by looking at the broader transformation in global competition. So we're living through a moment in which critical and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, 5G, and quantum computing are not only reshaping our economies, but also redefining the very foundation of national power. These are general purpose technologies that we call GPTs that cut across sectors from industries to military. As such, they carry enormous implications for both economic competitiveness and national security. In this environment, the competition between states is not just about physical territory or trade volumes, but increasingly about who gets to set the rules of the technological order. So standards have become one of the most effective and yet underappreciated instruments in this competition. So they determine how technologies are designed, how markets operate, and what values get embedded in our future infrastructures. This shift is further reinforced by broader changes in the nature of geopolitics. First, we are now witnessing the decline of Western dominance and the rise of new power centers, and many of them from the global south. This has fragmented the existing system of global governance and introduced new players and new agenda to us. Second, technological advancement has blurred traditional boundaries. So for example, digital platforms, data flows, and cyberspace do not respect national borders, and it challenges conventional notion of sovereignty. Third, the nature of security threat is also changing. Cyber warfare, information manipulation, and critical infrastructure sabotage have added new layers to national security beyond conventional military power. So against this backdrop, it becomes clear why technical standardization that once regarded as a purely technical and a political process has moved to the forefront of strategic policy making. So standards no longer simply ensure interoperability, and now they shape how future technologies will function, who can access which market, and what values and governance model become embedded in global systems. So as geopolitical competition intensifies, the struggle is less about physical territory or resources and more about defining the rules. So it happens especially in realms of technology, digital infrastructure, and security. In this context, standard setting has emerged as a powerful tool for countries to expand their economic and political influence on a global scale. In particular, controlling standards for critical and emerging technologies such as AI, 5G, and quantum computing area is increasingly seen as essential to securing long-term prosperity of the states. And in many cases, it related to national security. So as a result, more governments are embedding standards into their national strategies, industrial policies, and diplomatic agendas. This includes active participation in international standardization bodies and alignment with domestic industries, and the use of standards as leverage in trade and strategic partnership with like-minded countries. So all of these points to simple but profound truth: who sets the standard sets the future. So this is no longer just a slogan. It is reality shaping global competition today. So, and with that, let me now turn to how different major powers are responding to this new landscape. So let me start with the United States. So the United States has increasingly recognized the strategic dimension of standard setting, particularly in light of its intensifying technological rivalry with China. In May 2023, the US government released the National Standards Strategy for Critical and Emerging Technologies. This document, coordinated by the National Institute of Standards and Technology and released by the name of White House. And it lays out a national approach to strengthening US leadership in international standardization. The strategy revolves around three core goals. First, to ensure that the US maintains global leadership in standards related to critical and emerging technologies, including AI, quantum computing, semiconductors, and biotechnology. Second, to preserve the private sector-led nature of US standardization while expanding government support in terms of coordination, funding, and international engagement. And third, to counter China's growing influence in international standards bodies like ISO and ITU, where China has rapidly increased its presence and leadership. To implement this strategy, the US released an implementation roadmap in July last year. It focuses on four main pillars. So first, expanding US leadership and engagement in international standards bodies, not just through participation, but also through strategic partnership with allies and partner countries. Second, investing in pre-standardization R&D so that US technology are not only innovative, but also aligned with emerging global standards. Third, training the next generation of standard professionals who understand both technical systems and their geopolitical implication. And fourth, enhancing public-private collaboration across federal agencies, industries, and academia to ensure consistency and strategic alignment. Taken together, the US approach demonstrates that standardization is no longer seen as just a technical necessity, and now it is a national strategic priority. And next, let's look at the strategy of European Union. The EU takes a value-driven regulatory approach to standardization. In February 2022, the EU published its strategy on standardization that positions standards as a key tool for promoting democratic values, sustainability, and strategic autonomy. This strategy set out three major goals to extend EU norms globally. Second, to strengthen the resilience of supply chains and digital infrastructure. And third, to lead the green and digital transition in globally. So the EU integrates standards into its regulatory and trade policy, turning domestic regulation into global benchmarks. So such as GDPR, the AI Act, and the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So this phenomenon is often referred to as crucial effect, whereby the EU's internal rules become de facto global standards due to the size and influence of its market. Moreover, the EU has established institutional mechanisms such as EU Excellence Hub on Standardization, which includes the appointment of Chief Standardization Officer within European Commission. This role is designed to ensure cross-sectoral coherence and alignment between different directorates general, EU member states, and industry stakeholders. It also leverages strategic instruments like harmonized European norms, public procurement policies, and external trade agreements to promote the adoption of its standards globally. The EU's model may not be directly replicable for Korea, but it offers important lessons, particularly on how to institutionalize standard governance and align with broader policy objectives, including environmental and digital regulation. Now let me turn to China. So China's approach is distinctly state-led. At the heart of this effort, the China Standard 2035 initiatives, which seeks to position China as a global leader in standards for strategic sectors such as AI, smart manufacturing, digital infrastructure. Although the full strategy has not been published, it builds on China's long-standing efforts to integrate standardization into its national industrial policy, especially since 11th Five-Year Plan and more explicitly through Made in China 2025. Standardization is managed centrally through Standardization Administration of China, which coordinates closely with industrial, scientific, and diplomatic arms of Chinese states. China also promotes its standard internationally through Belt and Road initiatives. Many BRI partner countries adopt Chinese standards sometimes by default through an infrastructure project, bundled technologies, or financing terms. This model is further expanded via Digital Silk Road, which export digital platforms and data governance frameworks that often reflect China's political and ideological preference. China's participation in international standard setting body has also grown very rapidly. It has increased its leadership role in ISO, IC, and ITU, and it uses tools such as technical proposal submissions and coordinated voting blocks to influence the agenda. Standardization in China's case is deeply institutionalized and closely aligned with its broader effort to reshape global governance norms in more state-centric direction. So what does all of this mean for Korea? Korea has high technological capabilities, particularly in semiconductors, batteries, and digital infrastructure. Korean products are known for their reliability and quality, and Korea generally shares values such as openness, transparency, and rule-based governance with other democratic countries. However, Korea faces several structural challenges. First, I think we still have limited leadership in international standardization bodies. And second, Korea lacks a unified long-term standard strategy because the governance still remains fragmented across ministries, and public-private coordination is also limited. Third, we are increasingly caught between the strategic competition of US and China, which complicates our ability to make autonomous standards policy choices. And fourth, Korea has tended to take a reactive posture, adapting to standard-related issues after they emerge. We have to participating in agenda setting process from the beginning. So in light of these challenges, I'd like to propose broad policy direction for Korea's strategic response. First, we must strengthen our domestic capacity. So this starts with establishing a centralized control tower for standard policy, such as an interministerial body that coordinates strategy across trade, science, industry, and foreign affairs, and even security. And we also need stronger public-private collaboration, including shared expert tools, joint participation in international committees, and institutional support for small and medium-sized enterprises. Lastly, we should expand our presence in both former standard organizations like ISO and IEC, and also de facto standard bodies like 3GPP, and many other standard-related industry forums and consortia, where the real technology decisions are often made. And second, we need more proactive international engagement strategy, what we might call standards diplomacy. So Korea should deepen cooperation with like-minded partners through summits and bilateral forums, including with the US, UK, European Union, Japan, and Germany. We should also enhance our engagement in regional platforms such as the Pacific Area Standard Congress and APEC Standard Subcommittees. At the same time, we must step up our efforts to work with emerging markets by co-developing context-specific standards in areas such as smart mobility, green energy, and digital governance. And beyond that, Korea can lead its own standardization platform. So we can offer regulatory models and frameworks on AI ethics or low carbon technologies. So as global public goods that reflect democratic and innovative values. So to conclude, I emphasize once again that standards are no longer just a technical issue, and it now becomes central to the future of global governance, digital transformation, and strategic competition. The US, EU, and China are already acting on this, and their approach becomes more strategically. And Korea, as a technological advanced but geopolitically mid-sized country, cannot afford to remain reactive. So we must move toward proactive leadership through domestic reform and international collaboration and more forward-looking policy. So this is the end of my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks very much. This was really very impressive. Not only that you really elaborate on what Korea should do, but also to really come up with this comparative view on what the other countries at least kind of publish related to standardization strategies. And everybody is welcome to ask questions, but I have a first question to our colleagues from TTA. Do you share Mijin's kind of assessment of what Korea kind of is challenging and what are the opportunities related to standardization? Do you have a view on that? What she presented, which is more an academic view, and you are in kind of active in a standards organization. Somebody, Mina?
Yes. Perhaps Mijin first.
Oh, no.
No, Mina, what's yours?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Our presentation is more focused on the roadmap itself, but perhaps I think we can share the same opinions with Ms. Kim's presentation, that we because we are under the same country, and then we are working for ministries as well, and we share the same opinions with Mijin, because we are actually, TTA is more focused on ITU, including JTC1, but also Mijin's presentation shows that she is covering IEC and ISO level as well. And then I don't think that there is much difference between us. So perhaps we don't have, we completely agree with her opinions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mijin. But I have a question, because you presented the different strategies published by the European Commission in 22, published by the Biden-Harris administration in 23. We are now in 25, and there are some changes going on, and also some changes are happening. We have now the Trump administration. How kind of relevant are these documents still? What do you think? Do you have some background information whether the new US administration will stick to that? What Biden-Harris published in 23?
In Trump administration, that we can call it Trump 2.0. Actually, there is no kind of document like NSS SCT that released in Biden-Harris administration in Trump administration. But I think that there's a government that strengthened the standard focused approach is still continued in Trump administration, and I think the strategy will be more detailed in Trump 2.0.
Okay. Let's see. And the other point is that the European Commission published at the beginning of the year kind of this document, EU Competition Compass, which at least shows that the focus in Europe is a little bit reshifting away from the green and digital kind of transition to really assuring global competitiveness. What is your assessment? Is that strengthening kind of the role of standardization, or maybe also changing the priorities within standardization? What do you expect?
It's competitive competition.
No, in Europe, the Commission has now a very strong focus on securing competitiveness in the global kind of markets, which is even now further pushed by the current activities of the Trump administration. And under the previous commission, there was a stronger focus on green and digital transition. And therefore, my question is, what would you speculate? Is there, based on what you have presented, is there also some change related to standardization to be expected? That's also the question.
I think this question is difficult to answer for me, because I'm in the person in the academia.
Okay, but could you go to your previous slide, please? Because here, no, it was no, not just further one towards it. Promote Korean developed standards and also export Korea's regulatory frameworks and technical models. This sounds a little bit like the EU approach of the Brussels effect. You know the Brussels effect?
Yes, it's quite similar. So I think Korean should promote and maybe export Korean developed standards to the other developing countries, like K green standards or K cybersecurity standards to the developing countries like ASEAN or India or Latin America and many other Latin American countries.
Okay. I don't know, the TTA colleagues, is that also, because I didn't see this explicitly in your presentation, Mina, do you have a position on this suggestion? Or Mr. Kim?
Knut, it's quite difficult question as well, but let me try. So I don't think there is much difference with Ms. Kim's observation, but I don't think we should restrict to export to only developing countries, but also developed countries as well. So that's why we develop our domestic standards, and then we try to bring them into international standards. So international organizations such as ISOIC and ITU, we bring a lot of contributions to those organizations, and then that will affect all the countries globally. Perhaps I answered to your question properly.
Thank you. I also was listening to Mr. Kim's introduction, and there he kind of regarding the collaboration between Europe and Korea, he suggested the following, because Korea is quite strong in ICT technologies, and then he suggested that that Europe is maybe stronger in also this value kind of based standardization topics like democracy, inclusiveness, and bringing both kind of assets together could characterize the collaboration. First of all, did I get this right? Is that a little bit an idea, Mr. Kim?
Yes. As I mentioned by remark, I think the complementary strengths of the EU and Korea can be maximized to kind of strategic role sharing and joint development of standard that reflect both technical excellency and a strong value framework. However, I don't think I can give a good answer right now to concretize this kind of ideal aspect. However, what I can say right now is that discussion between European Union and Korea at the policy level should begin first. And I think that this has already begun to some extent through the Korea-EU digital partnership. And through this, and the two sides can share strategic direction and form a kind of consensus on core values and goals. And based on this, it seems possible to set a direction for international standardization and jointly develop and cooperate on international standards based on this direction. So to this end, the first method we can take, rather than at a government level, would be to form a kind of joint technical committee in the areas where cooperation between EU and Korea is possible, and to hold regular meetings and seminars. Through this, some kind of bottom-up cooperation, such as submitting joint contribution to international standardization organization, or taking a common position on a specific issue, is most feasible way. I think this is maybe a possible and effective way for both sides to take action right now.
Thank you very much. This elaboration is very interesting because, as I said before, we have another project which is focusing on education about standardization, and here this value-based approach is a little bit in the focus, and therefore our follow-up webinar on education should certainly cover this. But we have a question from the audience. Pierre, the floor is yours. Pierre? Okay, you are muted. Can he be unmuted? Or can you, I don't know, can you write the question in the chat, please? I don't know. I cannot unmute you. Oh, can I do that? No. Gabriele?
I asked him to activate his mic, but maybe he has some hurdles with the mic. I don't know.
Okay, I put just in the chat the link to Edo for Standards, which really drives this value discussion in standardization. And since this was now brought up in the discussion, I think that's certainly the next topic. Pierre, are you still with us? Can you hear us? No? Okay. And any other questions? Mina, you want to?
Yes, Knut, I just would like to add some comments on the education. So TTA has also the similar programs with the standard Ed for Standards, which is capacity building and training, and also the sports program for experts for standardization. So we are much hoping to have the joint webinar with your StandICT. And then perhaps we can introduce TTA's program under MSIT. Thank you.
Definitely, I think we will do that, and maybe it's a little bit pre-announcement. We are not sure whether we can do that before the summer break, but maybe after, together also with Dongwon Choi, who is from KSA and who was the convener of a document, an international workshop agreement on education about standardization. That means what should be in the curricula, and that's a little bit the outlook for the next webinar. Now, Pierre, can you speak? No, he is gone. Okay. And in this sense, with this outlook, I want to conclude this very, very kind of, for me, informative webinar, getting further insights into TTA's work and ideas also regarding the collaboration with the EU. Then also by Mijin, a really excellent overview of what has been published related to strategies and where is maybe the niche for Korea, but also maybe the challenges to get their own ideas and interest up to the international level. This was really a great presentation, very valuable also, again, reflecting what's going on in the other parts of the world. Regarding the StandICT webinar series, yeah, we are a little bit following what's going on in US. I have some contacts to NIST, but they are currently quite quiet. Therefore, we have to see what's going on here. But we will have further webinars in this series and also more to come probably then at latest after the summer break. As I said before, regarding education together with Korea, but also probably with other countries like Japan, etc. That's the plan. But if you have proposals for future activities, please contact me. And if you have speakers, content ideas, we are quite open. Other topics we are going to address in the near future is probably also the link to open source, because this was also briefly mentioned here, but there's also another EU initiative which we are kind of aligning with, and we had another webinar on open source last year, but we will kind of update that also with these well-known speakers. That's it from my side. Thanks a lot for those in Europe joining early, and for those in Korea joining later today. I wish us in Europe a nice day, but our Korean colleague a nice evening. And for those kind of going into the Easter break, a nice relaxing time. And see you soon here on the screen of the StandICT Geopolitics webinars. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mina. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Thank you, Mr. Ho. Thank you, Mijin. And hope to see you, maybe the one other also in Berlin one time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.